You got short arms there, Mike.
I know, I do.
Yeah, and then measure you in the combine, you'd be like in the bottom of all the measurables.
Oh, yeah.
All right, thanks for coming. Start spring practice Saturday, of course. Guys have been working out. It's been about 7 weeks. I think we've met on that. They've made a lot of improvements. Strength staff done a good job. I think there's 101 players that'll be participating in spring practice. 4 guys are out with some injuries or surgeries. Ashton Woods had a shoulder that we had to fix from the season. Emery Snyder was a recruit we signed. He had a hip surgery. He had got that fixed. We knew that coming in. And 2 guys, Peter Notaro, a kicker, has got a foot, not on his kicking foot, but he had a foot thing we had to get fixed, so he'll be out for a few weeks. And then Antoine Sharp got a knee that we had to get fixed, and he'll be out this spring. Everybody else should be good to go for this Saturday for our first spring practices. We're going to try to get 4 practices in before the spring break and then get the other ones in afterwards and have a spring festival, kind of a scrimmage, have a lot of events going on the 18th of April. Now, I got a couple new staff members. I think those have been out publicly, and excited about them. Guys have working hard, and a lot of things we've evaluated over the past couple months, what we're doing, what everybody else is doing. Recruiting is obviously something we do every day. And I like what I see so far, but again, we haven't played football yet. We've just from the workout standpoint and from an athleticism standpoint and what I've seen so far, I like where our roster's at. But we got a lot of new guys, of course, the experience part of it. We've got to try to, in the 15 practices, and I told the staff what we've got to try to do is somehow get these guys experience between, the first practice to the last practice, so we feel comfortable that they have, because there's not a lot of returning starters, of course, but we feel comfortable with what we have and where our program's at right now.
Rich, give us some insight into those new guys. I mean, you'd recruited them, so it's not like they're coming in sight unseen, but now that you are starting to work with them?
Yeah, I'll have a better idea after, when we have true practices and see where they're at. But just looking from a physical standpoint, where they're at in a weight room and the things that they're doing there, we need to be bigger, we need to be stronger. Need to be more athletic at certain spots, and certainly, obviously, we're hoping our luck will be a little better too. We won't get guys hurt, but there's so much more competition. I think true competition at every position is something that all coaches are wanting to have, and I think we truly have that from a player standpoint, and brought that in with some of the transfers we got in. Really good high school freshman class we brought in, and a couple of junior college guys that we signed back in December, I think are really going to help us as well. But again, I'll have a little better feel after we do, some football stuff on Saturday. But judging from what they've done in the weight room and some of their measurables, we're in a pretty good spot.
You said you have 101 starting this year. How's that measure up to the number that you had last year at the start of spring ball?
Well, there's 101 here now. Now there's 13 guys that are not here yet. They're either graduating high school or junior college. So, the numbers are going to be a little bit less because the roster limit from the NCAA. So we'll have less bodies, But I think there's, last year, we've gone through it without, last year was last year. We had a little better feel for, obviously time for their high school recruiting, a little bit more from the NIL standpoint, with the rev share than we had last year, and so we thought we would be able to enhance the roster a little bit better than we did a year ago. A year ago, there was everything. We knew it was going to be kind of hectic, and thought we would be a little deeper than what we were, and we weren't as deep as we wanted to be, and the injury part probably exposed that a little bit. But I think, again, until we start practicing, I'm never sure, but I think we have a better football team certainly now than we did a year ago at this time.
Rich, what did you see from Michael Hawkins? What did the recruiting process look like for Michael Hawkins? And what did you see how did you see him fitting when you recruited him?
Yeah, I knew about him from watching him a little bit. Obviously, we have some guys that were at Oklahoma that saw him in person and who he was as an athlete, who he was as a person. He was. We wanted somebody to come in and compete with Scotty and Max for the job, and somebody that had the skill set that we thought could be special in it. And Mike has that, and he's shown that so far. He's a smart guy. It's really important to him. He works hard. He and Scotty and Max too have done a really good job of taking another step, I think. And Mike's only been here a couple months, so this spring's going to be really important to him. But he has all the skills that you want in a quarterback. He can run, he can throw, he's smart, he's competitive. And that was a big target for us to find a guy in the portal that we thought that could compete with Scotty and Max and the rest of them to be our quarterback. And we're hoping that at every position, not just a quarterback, that we have at least two guys that are good enough to win with. That's what kind of coach speak, but that's what we want. And if we can get three guys that we can win with at every position, boy, we're going to be, we'll be a whole lot deeper and can sustain any bad luck or overcome bad luck, I should say.
You mentioned having two guys, and you talked last year going into the season that you wouldn't even be against kind of having a 1A, 1B thing if it worked for the team. Do you have a similar mentality that if both quarterbacks are good enough to win with, that you could play both of them regardless of injury?
Sure, yeah, we could play both. I think all quarterbacks, they want to, all good players, they want to be the guy and they don't want to come out at all. But if you're good enough to win with, you're going to play. Now, you could do some two quarterback stuff, and I've done that in the past. But inevitably, somebody may, surge to the front. We're kind of, again, practice is going to tell, practices now and practices in August will tell that part of it. But, I think, we targeted Mike, and we had a bunch of quarterbacks on the board. We evaluated a whole bunch of them, and Mike had all the things that we thought we wanted, and he's been what we thought he would be so far in workouts, in some meetings. And so spring practice is going to be important. Obviously, it's going to be his first practices, but he and we got those young guys, those young quarterbacks we got. I'm pretty excited about too. So. Last year, who would have thought that we would have three quarterbacks go down with injuries last year? I mean, so you better have more than one, and hopefully you don't get to your third or fourth quarterback because of injury. But I like where we're at right now.
Rich, you targeted a lot of offensive linemen, obviously in transfer portal in your class. Do you feel better? I know you got to wait for spring practice, but do you feel better about the personnel?
I do. I think that was another position we thought, we lost, 9 of the top 10 guys or something last year of the O-line. And so, they were starting all over again with a whole new system for them. So that part of it, we thought we feel a whole lot better with that now because we've had some, Landon has played, Nick Cray's played, and Malik Agbo's played a little bit. Some of those guys have played, and then some of the guys that were young guys behind them, I think, gotten better. We signed a really good freshman class, and then we got a few transfers in there on the O-line. We're so much deeper now with guys that have experience playing. Like last year, we got some transfers in, but they didn't have a whole lot of experience as a starting offensive lineman. Now we brought some portal guys in that have a lot of experience as starters in college, and we got a couple of freshmen. They're going to have great careers. And then even our returners like Landon and Nick, those guys, and Malik, all those guys have gotten bigger and stronger too. So I do think we're going to be in a lot better spot up front, which we need to be.
Along these lines, you came in 2001 and won 3 games. The next year you won 9. 3 years later you won 11. What kind of time schedule? Is it easier now to improve like that with all that's out there for you, or is it harder because of not keeping guys?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's like some people think, well, now with the transfer portal and guys being able to go more easily from one school to another. It should be easier to do that, but you also lose guys, right? And so I think the first year is always the hardest. I remember Bobby Bowden, who I've known very, very well, and the whole family, of course. And he said, I remember him telling me, when I was coach at Glenville State in West Virginia, he said, Coach, you're going to go through 4 phases. You're going to lose big, lose close, win close, then win big. You know what I mean? And it's funny how that kind of worked out. At Glenville, it was kind of that way, worked out for us. Now this day and age, you don't want to lose big, then lose close, because that's 2 years of losing, right? So, from now on, you almost got to, if you lost big like we lost big, we want to win, at least win close now, right? But it's challenging. It's different challenges now. You still have to establish the culture. We took so many transfer guys last year, and I think we kind of had to, because where we were at and we were late in the process. This year we intentionally took a lot more high school guys because we wanted guys. We don't have 40-some seniors that are going to be one and done. We've got 21 or 22 seniors, and everybody else are guys that we want to have now, and we want to keep and finish their careers here. So I think we're able to build it the way I wanted to, and we should get better every year. If we're doing our job as coaches, we'll be better this year than we were last year, and then we'll be better in 2 years than we were this year, I think. So, but I think in ways you can correct some mistakes or get better in a hurry, but that takes money, a lot of money, and we have more than we had a year ago, but we don't have that kind of mess around money where you can make a whole bunch of mistakes. It don't matter because you're paying that guy just as much money. You're going to be okay. So it's a different dynamic.
You talk about getting better each day, each year. How did that experience last year during spring ball and during the season, first one back at the Power 4 level, how did that kind of mold you and make you better, you feel like, going into this year?
Well, if you're asking about me personally, I've always thought that, coaches that just rely on experience and don't get better every year and are not, sending the right message or not doing what they should be doing. You should be getting better every year as a coach. And that's why I think this is my 29th year as a head coach. And I like to think, whether I'm better or sometimes it may not appear to be, but I'm going to make sure I do my job better. I'm a better coach now than I was a year ago, and I want the players and the staff to do the same thing. And I do feel that way. There's things that every day I challenge myself, I challenge the staff to let's be better this year. Let's find out what everybody else is doing, and it's something that we can do to help our program. And I want my players to do the same way. As good as they are right now, let's be better in 7 weeks. And in the summer, you got 8 weeks of workout. Let's be better after that 8th week. And as a coach, is the same way. So it does sometimes appear that. It certainly didn't look like that at times last year. But I do feel better personally as a coach as far as staying on top of the game. And there's different challenges now with the NIL era and all that from a coach that I don't say you have to learn how to navigate it, but you have to learn how to navigate it. We're running, things are more transactional. We're more like a pro organization than a true college, what college used to be. So there's different challenges, but hell, if you like winning enough, which every coach does, you're going to figure out how to win the challenge. And that's what I'm doing.
That said, those changes this year, are they more schematic? Are they behind the scenes stuff? Where do you look at? And
both,
say,
everything. I mean, schematic stuff is, it's just 11 guys, and I think sometimes that gets overplayed a little bit. Everybody can look what Indiana did just such a tremendous job, and you can look at what they do, and you got to study them. How do they do it? And they had really good players, but they were coached really well. You look at one stat, which is amazing to me, is they had one fumble they lost one fumble the first game of the year and didn't lose another one, the next 15 games or whatever it was. Hell, we lost 3 in a row in one game. I mean, I'd never seen nothing like that in my life. I mean, so, was that schematic? Was that teaching fundamentals of ball security? It was all of the above, you know what I mean? So everything I've always said this, if we have no turnovers and no negative yardage plays, we're going to win 100% of the time. You know, and I don't know if anybody's ever had a game in college football they've had 0 turnovers and 0 negative yardage plays. So, but that's the goal. And how do you have 0 turnovers, 0 negative yardage plays? You're good fundamentally, schematically. You're not, you may not have big plays, but you're not having disastrous plays. And so there's a lot that goes into how do we study other people and what they're doing, how we could get better. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think we have to have a good idea, and we have to, as coaches, we have to reflect on what did we do good. There was some stuff that was pretty good, and what did we do poorly. Let's fix that and do, leave your egos to the side, and you want to be prideful of what you're doing, but listen, we all got to get better. It ain't just a player standpoint; it's a staffing, coaching standpoint too. So I feel good about that.
You mentioned earlier about the coaches that you hired in the offseason. You hired Rick Trickett, and you also brought in his other son, Chance. What does that family mean to you in your coaching career?
Yeah, Miss Tara is Rick's wife called me up and said, "Where's my job?" I think I hired everybody but the whole family. No, it was, they're good food. I hired Chance because I wanted some NFL scouting experience. He'd done it for 12 years, and how the system, how they go about scouting and evaluating prospects and all that, because we're not just evaluating high school guys, we're evaluating other college prospects, guys that are got in the portal and all that. So Chance's experience has already helped. We revamped how we evaluate, how we grade guys, both on high school and in a portal era, and he's played a big part of that. And then Rick, of course, have been we've worked together a lot, and I think he's the preeminent offensive line coach in college football, and that has been for a long, long time. He knows the system, and he knows how to get the best out of his players. So it's been really good to have him, and of course Travis is on the staff and doing a great job as well. So there's a lot of staffs talk about a family feel. We truly have that, but it's like me hiring Rhett or Raquel. I'm hiring them because they're good at what they do. And the same way with the Trickett family. They're good at what they do, and they're going to help us win games.
So, Coach, to that end, you have Deke Adams now to be the DN's coach, but you did briefly bring in Larry Knight, who then departed.
Yeah.
Can you add some clarity to what happened with Larry coming aboard, and then
he got offered by Georgia.
Is that simply just what happened?
Is that where he went? Yeah. I mean, he's from Georgia, and he got offered. And Kirby called me about him. Coaches don't have to call, but Kirby called and said he would talk to him. And Larry was I think he's a pretty good coach, but hell, I don't know. He's only here about a couple weeks. I don't think he ever got out of the hotel. He ate a few meals, had a couple meetings with him, and next thing you know, he was down in Athens.
And
so
what led you to pivot to Deke Adams, and what does he bring to the table?
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know Deke, but I knew some people he'd worked with. He worked with Jeff Bauer at Southern Miss, a few years ago, who's back when they were really good. And then he's worked with some coaches that I've know very, very well over the past. I think we're fortunate that he was available and he was out there. So, he was at Arkansas. He's been in the SEC, so he knows what it looks like. And I think he's a great addition to the staff.
How important is it to have those two starting offensive linemen from Jacksonville State transfer in that have that experience both under you and under Coach Trickett?
Yeah, well, both Bubba Grayson and Cam Griffin know the system. They know the offense. They also know a lot of the techniques and things that Coach Trickett installs. That helps. I mean, they're helping teach those guys, hey, this is what he wants here and this is what he wants there. And they're great guys. They're great program guys. I've known them since obviously high school, and we thought, we wanted to get them, before. I'd like to have them last year, but just to get them this year, and I think they're enjoying it. They're working really hard. They're great. They're great guys. So it's been this. They've helped kind of be the glue with some of the new guys we brought in, some of the freshmen and all that.
In regards to your position groups, is there a group that you're most confident with leading the spring ball, and then what's a position group that you still have a few question marks looming?
Well, we have like the running back room's all new, right? Is there anybody in the running back room that was here last year? I don't. What's that? Yeah, Andre Devine, that was it. So everybody else was new in that group. The quarterback room's got a couple guys coming back. It's really kind of hard to like mention one group, another. Secondary is almost all new. A whole bunch of there's a lot of new guys, and again, like I said, we don't want to do this every year where we're bringing in 70 or 80 new guys. I mean, the first year we kind of had to do what we want to do. This year we had to do it, because we had so many seniors. Going forward, this is about the right number, having about 21, 22 seniors. But again, you can't predict it. I mean, the way things are going, until they put a cap on the NIL and somebody can buy your players, what have you, you may lose some guys. But I think we're going to be good position going forward. We have to have a plan from the NIL rev share, or not rev share, from the NIL era to stay up there where we want to be. But we have a plan, and we'll go out and raise money and do what we got to do.
You mentioned so many of these position groups having, so many new faces. It's about the same amount in total of new players this year as last year. How did last year teach you, or what lessons did it give you to prepare to do it again this year?
Yeah, I think when we signed them last year, we thought David could help us, but it was a little different. We had a little bit more time to evaluate the guys we wanted to bring in compared to a year ago. And let's face it, they weren't all bad. There was a lot of guys we brought in that played really good football, and I appreciated what they did for us when they were here for just 1 year. So, they helped us. They helped us, believe it or not, even though some of them were only here 6 months. They helped us kind of establish the culture that we wanted. We're still work on your culture every day, but it wasn't like it was a massive, completely flipped the culture. I enjoyed coaching those guys last year. They gave us good effort. Now, there were times we didn't play as well as we wanted to, and some things that we would have liked to have done better. And, from a locker room culture standpoint and from everything else, but I thought that group helped us. Even the seniors, the 6-month guys, whatever we had last year, helped us establish that for this year. And there's enough returning players that have been in our program for the last 12 months that are helping us move forward with it too. So it wasn't all bad. I mean, it was more bad than good, but it wasn't all bad.
Going back to your junior college guys you mentioned earlier, the 3 defensive linemen you signed in December. Is that a preference or a perspective for you guys, or was it just something about those 3 that were available? You said, let's get this done.
Well, no, we're just trying to find the best players that fit what we want to do from a personal attitude standpoint. The one thing I would, like I said, the guys that we had last year, there wasn't like a bunch of big bad attitudes or nothing like that. But we wanted guys that love football and not like it, and that wanted to be at West Virginia, of course, and then had the skill set to be able to play and win games with. That there's no. We had more time this year to evaluate and get those guys, we thought, than we did a year ago. And I mean, that's obvious. First-year coach, second-year coach, right?
Yeah. And then just for those 3 defensive linemen, did that kind of free up a little bit in the transfer portal? Because that could be a hard position to recruit. But if
What's
you got
that?
The 3 defensive linemen you got from junior college, did that free you up a little bit in the transfer portal where you felt good about those 3? And, that could be a hard position to recruit.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, a lot of them now, it's, like I said, it's so transactional. You're going to sell the school. We got a lot of positive things to sell, whether it's our school, our town, our facilities. But it's still, a lot of times it comes down to what, how much money you have. So it's always going to be a little bit of a challenge, because there are going to be some right now, until they get some kind of sensibility to what we're doing, that that guy's everything you want. I mean, he's getting paid $1.5 million a year. Okay, that's going to be hard to get. What I mean? So there's still always going to be that up there. That's going to be a challenge, but. If we took him out of the junior college, it's because we think this guy can be a really good player for West Virginia.
Are there any late additions in the class of 2026 JUCO or high school, or any transfer portal players, people who entered that are still in there that you're still looking to add, or is the roster mostly full?
We have 2 to 3 spots that may be open. still yet. And so whether guys, if they're not in the portal now, you're not getting them. I mean, there got to be guys out of the portal, but there's still 2 or 3 spots that we may have that we intentionally waited to see. It might be a junior college guy that's graduating in May. It might be a guy that's in a portal that hadn't got what he wanted yet. But we're not like, again, this was a change from last year. Remember last year we had the spring portal as well. So you might be losing guys or picking up guys in. Everybody should be, what you have is what you have. And there's always the danger of the guy just unenrolling and re-enrolling somewhere else, right? And I know they're NCAA's trying to put some teeth into that, and which they need to do, because if you could just unenroll and then enroll somewhere else, then there really isn't a portal period, right? I mean, it's like there's no portal period. So I'm glad they're doing some rules like that to try to rein that in a little bit. But we still have, like I said, we still have a couple spots that we could fill, or openings that we could sign a guy that's in the portal, didn't get what he wants, or maybe he's a junior college guy that's going to graduate in May.
Coach found a fullback. What's your plan?
Yeah, Cowboy Luke.
Yeah, how do you see that kind of, evolving with the offense?
Yeah, I like, this day and age, a fullback is rare, right? And we wanted a guy that maybe could run the ball a little bit, but would want to stick his face in the fan and all that. And you can use a lot of people are using their tight ends in that role, and we will too. But with Luke, with Caden, we wanted a guy that's actually played that, and he's played fullback. He's run the ball a little bit. He's played some tight end, so he's been a good addition.
Coach, for that spring scrimmage, have you thought about the format that's going to be sculpted as? Will it be a gold versus blue, or more of that?
No, it's more of I believe Rock Hill, we're calling it a spring festival kind of thing. I think we're trying to make it an event, like for fans to come out, to be kind of fan friendly, and I think they want to see some football too. So we'll have some competitive stuff. We may do things a little bit different, do some one-on-ones and do some different things that are kind of that fans may want to watch. And the scrimmage part of it, I've never been that's the end all to be all. And if you had a great spring scrimmage, that means you're destined for greatness or something like that, or the opposite being true. So we'll come up with a format that'll be some football stuff for people who are coming there to do, but also some other stuff that is family friendly that people want to have.
You talk about culture, and how important retention is probably to play together and build a team together. How many guys, or do you have any, that have more than 1 year deals?
We're trying to get more guys onto multi-year deals, just because the retention part is always the first thing you do after every season. Like, which guys do you want to keep? Do you have the means to keep them? And then how do you go about doing it? And you're always going to lose a couple. We lost a couple we didn't want to lose, but we were able to retain a lot of guys too. And again, a lot of times that takes money, but it also takes guys that want to be here and want to be in the culture and want to be in that locker room, want to be the ones that take this program where we think it should be. So I like the guys that we retain, but going forward, that's always going to be the first thing after season. Okay, the retention, because until we have guys, like we don't have guys like on 4-year contracts like the NFL. We got guys, a lot of them on 1 year. We're trying to get more on 2-year. I wouldn't mind getting some guys on 3-year contracts, whatever. So all that is kind of an ongoing process that we're dealing with, and other schools are doing it as well. It's such a crazy fluid situation, and we can sit here and complain about it, or the goalposts keep moving, so we're moving with it.
Has it been harder over the years, not only to maintain players, but coaching staffs? I know the coaching carousel, has it been harder over the years, or just this year? It's just chaos.
Well, yeah, I think the coaching staff, sure. I mean, that's always been an issue that I don't say an issue. It's just been a deal with, we don't have a lot of coaches on multi-year contracts and nothing like that. And sometimes they get offered a lot of money and go somewhere. That's going to happen. But I think overall, and I guess our staff is happy to be here. Like, I'm happy to be here in Morgantown, West Virginia. I think my staff is happy to be here. And, I mean, our happiness is based on winning. So, when we're winning big, we'll be happier. You know what I mean? But if you do win big and have success, then people will probably look at your players and look at your coaches. And that's going to be a good problem to have.
I'm just curious, you had a chance to absorb the league this year, and you've been to a lot of places, but not all of them. You studied all the teams on tape. What are your takeaways from the Big 12? Where do you need to be?
Yeah, better than the league overall. I think it's better than probably maybe the outside perception is. And not that NFL, the number of NFL guys is the end all to be all to tell all, but if you watch the combine, I want to watch the combine next year with a handful of Mountaineers running it. You know what I mean? And I don't mind if some of my opponents are on there, but I want to have some West Virginia guys running the 40 and doing all that stuff and getting drafted and all that. So that's part of the thing there. But I think I said this a year ago. We're going to work as hard as we can to bring a championship to West Virginia. It was a tough start at times, but I'm not backing down from that. I still think we can win the Big 12, which is a really good league, and I think we can get in the college football playoff. I think we can win a national championship at West Virginia. It may be difficult, but this can be done.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Okay. Thank you.